let's move on here and talk about a series that has become very fascinating and featured some very, very high level offensive basketball. Nuggets Suns, Logan. The Suns have evened this thing up. Another phenomenal game from Devin Booker, big game from KD to counter a Jokic 50 piece in game 4. What's your feel of this series right now, and what did you take away from that game 4?
Well, I want to start with the Jokic 50 piece, and I think it is so stupid to me that one of the greatest playoff performances of all time is getting overshadowed by this dumb Ishbia mess from the
Yeah.
sideline. Carson, only 13 players in NBA history have had a 53-point playoff game. You want to see if you can name the other 12 guys that have done this?
Sure. Elgin Baylor, Michael Jordan, Jimmy Butler this year, Donovan Mitchell. Who else has gotten over 53? Giannis didn't do that. LeBron hasn't done that. AI didn't do that. All right, for time's sake, we can keep this moving, but
So you got Baylor, Butler, Jordan, and Mitchell. You've got Barkley, Rick Barry, Wilt Chamberlain twice, John Havlicek, Damian Lillard, Isaiah Thomas, Jerry West. I also want to note Michael Jordan did this a disgusting 6 times. He's
yeah.
disgusting. And now joining the club, Nikola Jokic. I mean, I just think that we need to. Who cares, right? Jokic was in the right. I think we all in the basketball sphere can accept that. Can we talk about what he did on the court? I mean, he had the 6th most efficient 53 or higher point game in playoff history. That's 74.2 true shooting percentage. It's the only 53-11 game in playoff history. And again, we see it that Jokic is just unstoppable. Like, I don't know what other word to use at this point. He's got impeccable touch and footwork. The way he could just spin on a dime on the block, the way anybody, if it's a really long defender like KD, if it's a stronger guy who's really well equipped to defend him like Ayton, he's just unaffectable. He's so strong. His shot is basically untouchable. He can overpower Ayton and KD. I saw him split a sick double in between Landale and KD in this game too. It's just, you can't stop Jokic. I don't care what you do. We've given him so much credit for the playmaking. And again, we see it that when he wants to go score, he really can just go score at will. And I want to give a lot of credit to Jamal Murray, too. I thought this is a great performance from both of them out of the pick and roll. They were both just eating. You get a bad MPJ game. I wish he had showed up a little more. Maybe could have swung the tide in this game. He was great on the glass, but you need him to pull his weight. I mean, that's just borderline. He's got to pull his weight to put this team over the top. But Booker and KD just weren't playing around in this one, Carson. I mean, this was like, I think, one of the greatest offensive games I've just ever seen played between two teams. Now, I don't think the Nuggets were great in transition. That's my one real issue, is just when the Suns wanted to play fast, they were getting up and down the court at will. The Nuggets were having a lot of trouble getting back. Booker's insane, though, man. I mean, pushing the pace whenever he had an opportunity. He was beating guys off the dribble with ease. MPJ, KCP, Brown just exploding past them. Jab steps, fakes to throw these guys off of the catch, throw them off. He's just such a good, crafty scorer. Even, too, when you see him driving, using that offhand to bat guys' hands away, to create leverage and space to get downhill against good on-ball defenders. I mean, KCP and Brown are good defenders, dude, and Book is making them look like, food, man. He's just eating on them, and he's just not missing. There's so many of these shots that are just contested in crowded lanes. The one that really sticks out to me is late in this game. Uncle Jeff Green and Bruce Brown double team him on a pull-up three. Bottoms. Does not matter. And this is also a great playmaking game. Now, I thought he does have 5 turnovers in this game. Some of the doubles did affect him, but for the most part, he was really good. He was really doing a good job at identifying when the doubles were coming at him, figuring out who to get the ball to, either getting him an assist or getting him a hockey assist. I thought it was a really unselfish game, a really unselfish 36. Like, it didn't really feel like he forced anything. And we saw some really good pick and roll with him and DeAndre Ayton too. And then on the other side of it, Kevin Durant knocking down all these tough looks, pull-up Jays, turnaround Jays. He's hitting his catch-and-shoot opportunities, and he is, again, imposing his will on this team, getting downhill, getting to the line. I don't really know what you do adjustment-wise to slow down D-Book and KD. I just don't think the Nuggets have the personnel, Carson. It's almost like I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like you're just walking into these games and crossing your fingers and praying to the basketball gods that KD or Book's jump shot is off. I don't know what the Nuggets can do adjustment wise, because it's not like they're playing poor defense. They're just not really getting back in transition, and these guys are just knocking down everything. It's pure elite tough shot making from both of these guys. And when you have one of your top stars like MPJ not show up, knock down his shots, I'm not surprised. It is disappointing to waste a 50 piece from Jokic, but you've got to get more out of your surrounding pieces. And this is a testament to Booker and KD. We expected this. I was not expecting the Suns to just go out without a fight. These are two top 10 guys on the planet. But I'm very impressed, dude. I mean, the level of tough shot making, the playmaking we've seen from these guys, especially without Chris Paul. So I want to get your opinions on the game too, Carson. I also want to ask a couple additional questions. Is there anything you think that the Nuggets can do adjustment-wise to slow these guys down? And my follow-up question is, are the Suns better without Chris Paul?
Okay, I think that there's a lot to dive into just on why the Suns have improved, and I don't know that there's really an adjustment. Part of this is unconscious shot making. Like, Devin Booker is shooting 79% over his last 2 games, Logan. He is 18 of 22 from outside the paint. He is 10 of 10 for mid-range, and he is 8 of 12 on threes. He and KD are combining for 79 points per game. So they are just at a level of pull-up jump shooting specifically that you cannot take away. And that is a pronounced difference in this series. Games 1 and 2, the Suns were getting 28.5 points per game on pull-up jumpers, 41% effective field goal percentage on those shots. The last 2 games, 44 points per game on pull-up jumpers, 59% effective field goal percentage. And on the playoffs as a whole, they're 36 a game, 50% effective field goal percentage. So almost exactly between the two of them. And I think that's where we expect them to return to, which is, by the way, still the best pull-up jump shooting team in the league, just literally not missing level. And they're eking out wins with this unconscious level. So I do feel that Denver's offensive success is more sustainable. But we have to praise Book's growth as a playmaker and how surgical he was there in this game. And he was really good in game 3 as well, but 12 assists in this one. And he is not imposing himself as a scorer late. He is making good reads. He's creating good looks for his teammates. Of course, KD did step up and get some buckets. Landry Shamet was just nails late in this game. But throughout, Book is now very willing to whip that pass to the weak side corner out of pick and roll. And we've seen largely the same coverage from the Nuggets this entire series. And it was pretty successful in games 1 and 2, which is we are just going to leave whoever the guy in the weak side corner is. We're going to have that guy's man become our low man. So he's either going to tag the roller and he's going to offer extra help, another line of defense besides Jokic, who's going to need to come out a bit higher out of his drop because you're dealing with really good mid-range pull-up jump shooters. And they didn't really get punished for leaving whoever it was, if it was Torrey Craig, Josh Okogie in those first 2 games. Now, Book is just coming out. Okay, great. I can see that guy is open, and he is making beautiful passes there consistently and handling traps well. But he is both at like an almost unprecedented level of shot making and playmaking. It's just a legitimately unbelievable level of basketball that he's reached. Like, we have to talk about Devin Booker as reaching a playoff level that like Luka has in previous runs. I mean, it's that special, Logan. He's averaging an absurdly efficient 37 a game, and he's being one of the best playmakers in the world right now. I mean, we had the Jason Tatum conversation with him, and we both said we're leaning Book last episode. I mean, right now, he is in a different class. He is literally playing as one of the 5 best basketball players on planet Earth, and I don't know if it's sustainable, but it is special. Like, he has outplayed KD in almost every game these playoffs, and he has outplayed him in every game in this series, and he is going toe-to-toe with Jokic. Like, yeah, Jokic has been the best player in this series, but not by as much as he should, given that he has played like unbelievable peak Jokic level basketball. So I want to give Book the biggest shout out for that. And then the other thing is the improving rotation in terms of minutes allocation and the improving role player production. First thing, as we talked about after game 3, more Jock Landale minutes. The guy is battling. I mean, he played 15 minutes over the previous 6 games. and now he's played 43 in these last two. He's got 14 points, 14 boards in those minutes, is going to at least make Jokic work. I mean, is going to compete on the glass. Defensively, it doesn't matter, but he's playing capably, he's finishing capably offensively, and he is fighting on the glass. TJ Warren, we talked about, swinging game 3 in that last couple minutes with his ability to just confidently knock down a catch and shoot 3 from the corner and then get a good look at a floater. Even Terrence Ross getting more minutes. He's just a superior shot maker to an Okogie or a Craig. And so you get that little bit of extra offensive juice. And then, of course, Shamet has been playing consistently. A lot of people have been upset that he's playing as much as he is, but this was a big night from him with 19 points and 5 threes. So all in all, they're just adding more offensive skill to the floor, which I think makes sense because they can't stop anything that Denver does. So you might as well go all in. You're going to get scorched no matter what. Like, as I said, the Suns have reached this unbelievable level of pure shot making and really good playmaking from their stars, and they're barely winning these games. So that's why I do think that Denver should still be the favorite in this series because, yeah, Jokic had 53, which obviously is insane. But you expect him to make pretty much every shot he's getting at like a 60 to 70% clip because Landale, Ayton, they don't have a prayer. Nobody can single cover Jokic, dude. He is too strong, and his touch shot making is absolutely absurd. His footwork, his fakes, like everything in combination makes him an unstoppable one-on-one scorer, which I've consistently felt is the most underrated part of his game. Like, we all talk about him being the best passing big ever. He's also one of the greatest playoff scorers ever. But yeah, a hook shot is 69% efficiency for Jokic this regular season. A floater is 66% efficiency. So out of pick and roll, he's going to get that floater whenever he wants. Out of the post, he's going to get that hook whenever he wants. And of course, there's some exceptional shot making in there, but he's just getting looks that he eats for breakfast, dude. It's what he does. And I think a lot of people watch Jokic and they go, oh my God, how did he make that? I mean, this guy's doing the YMCA stuff with the post moves and his touch is unbelievable. That's just what he does every single night. It's not abnormal. It's routine. It is like as routine as any dominant scoring performance can be because he doesn't have to do what Book's doing where it's like, oh my God, he's making 85% of his shots outside of the paint. He's getting to his bread and butter looks and he's destroying you. And he was still really good as a playmaker in this game. So like the Nuggets, these last 2 games shoot 31% from deep. This is a great shooting team that will progress to the mean. And the Suns are going to regress and they're going to come down to earth a little bit. So I like Denver more in this. The CP question, since I just went on for a bit, I'll let you answer first, but I do think it's an interesting one.
I think the real thing that makes this interesting is what Chris Paul doesn't bring to the table at this point in his career, because in a lot of ways, a lot of what you said about the role players, I think, is applicable, right? You have a lot more shot creation from the perimeter, guys who are better catch and shooters than Chris Paul. You have guys like TJ Warren, like Terrence Ross, include Shamet, who I think are better catch and shooters. Ross and Warren, I think, are better at attacking closeouts and getting into that mid-range and creating a look than Chris Paul. Chris Paul, in a lot of ways, hampers this offense because, he's genius level intellect. He always knows where to go with the ball. He always knows where to move it. But in a lot of ways, I think CP can be a bit of a ball stopper in this offense. And he's not as effective as an off-ball player to guys like Ross and Warren. And when Chris Paul is there, you're just getting more possessions where the ball is in his hands. And I love Chris Paul. I have so much adoration for him and respect for him as a player and love for what he has done throughout his career. I mean, in 2009, an MVP candidate, arguably one of the top 3 to 5 guys on the planet, took a pretty under-talented Hornets team to the Western Conference Finals, right? All these playoff mishaps. It's just, so I have respect for what Chris Paul was and what he has done throughout his tenure as an NBA superstar. But at this point in his career, I just don't know what he does better than these guys and how he makes the Suns better. Also defensively. I mean, look, man, I hate to quote Patrick Beverley. CP used to be all defense, man. He's a bit of a traffic cone out there. Like Pat Bev said, you can just blow by the guy. In my opinion, I think the Suns offense is just a lot better when they are moving quick, when they are in transition, when the ball is not sticking around and slowing down at all. And Chris Paul, in a lot of ways, can slow this offense down. He doesn't space the floor as well as other guys, and he's not as just a great all-around scorer is even some of these other bench guys. Like, even if he is on the floor, I don't really want him initiating anything anymore, Carson, because he has one shot, one spot on the floor. That's that fading elbow jumper. I always think you're going to get better offense if D-Book or KD is initiating, because they're just better creators. And I know KD can have his off nights where his handle is a little loose, where maybe he's not making the best decisions. Maybe he's turning the rock over more. I just still think you're getting consistent better offense in the Suns when KD and Book are playing and when they are out and running. And I just think there are better options. I don't know. Maybe this is an overreaction to 2 games where KD and Book have stepped their games up, but I really don't think it is, man. I think the Suns may just be better without CP out there, without him. I think there are also just guys who are more effective than him at this point in his career. And I feel bad saying that about Chris Paul, but I'm just going off what we've seen from him.
Father Time is undefeated. I mean, LeBron is the closest we've ever seen to defeating it, and obviously he can't
Tom
beat
Brady's
2013.
Tom Brady's undefeated against Father Time.
Well, he's retired now and he lost his marriage. So I will just start out with a quick historical correction because that is my job here. 2008 was the year that CP3 pushed Kobe for MVP, and they didn't quite make the conference finals. They pushed the Spurs 7 in the second round. But I don't know that he really matters in this series, which is crazy because when he got hurt, I thought, well, not that he was playing exceptionally well, but man, they are just going to be starved for shot creation. And it turns out, well, when you just put the ball and Book in KD's hands more, it's just better offense. And it is wild because it was 2 years ago, and I've said this stat a few times, but it's just remarkable that in this exact playoff matchup, CP3 scored 11 mid-range points per game on 65% from the mid-range. He torched Jokic out of that drop. He made those mid-range jumpers look like layups, and he just hasn't been at that level as a shot maker this year, in this postseason, and no matter what, you are not getting as good of a look with CP3 handling the ball, especially with the playmaking that we're seeing from both Book and KD. I mean, KD struggled a bit more. I thought he had some where he tried to find the guy in the weak side corner, and I think Jamal Murray specifically intercepted him twice. But still, good playmaking overall from KD, from as compared to CP3, who, is just going to try to get to that elbow jumper. Like, they don't need him. He's not an ideal catch and shooter. He is a defensive liability at this point, and he's not going to come back until game 6, at least, is the update. So we just might not see him in this series. I will say, though, I mean, Cam Payne starting is a bit of a problem because Cam Payne does still take up a few possessions. He, brings a little bit more ball handling than all these other guys, but he just misses everything. And he's got some playmaking chops, but if somebody's got to run 6 possessions a game, I would rather it be CP3 than Cam Payne. But I think if CP3 comes back, it's going to be more than that. He's going to have a more pronounced role, and he's going to dictate more than he probably should, given the level that Book and KD are at right now. So I laid out why I think that what we're seeing from the Nuggets is just more sustainable, right? Jokic can sort of walk into this. I haven't seen the Suns do anything to make this offense uncomfortable. Like, Jamal was still getting his efficient 28, takes Landry Shamet down to the post and just barbecues him. Like, that guy can score from anywhere on the floor. He's so fun to watch. And MPJ, of course, shoots the ball when he touches it. That's what he does. That's what he's always done. It's a reason he'll never be a great player. The guy has no playmaking chops and also can't really create a shot for himself off the bounce outside of, I'm just going to shoot this 3 right in your mouth. But he's one of the best pure shooters literally ever. So you live with it. He had a bad game. Really, the only shot I had a problem with was that transition 3 down 5 where Ayton's trailing, and it seemed like he got affected, and he doesn't even get rim. You don't need to force a shot there. KCP was wide open in the corner. But MPJ is going to be fine. Jamal is playing well. This team has great spot-up shooting, and the Suns do not have a prayer of an answer for Nikola Jokic. So all that considered, with home court, with their better depth, better supporting cast, I just feel like it's more replicable. What's your take?
No, I completely agree. And I think that you're right. And that's what the Suns should do. I think you lean into the skid here. You're going to live and die by these 2 guys going out, D-Book and KD, balling out every night. I think you lean into it. I think you play more offense. I think you try to outrun them and just outscore them, because I think you're right. I don't think they have a prayer at stopping anything that the Nuggets do offensively. We've seen the Nuggets have a few off nights. But again, it hasn't been anything that Phoenix has done defensively to slow them down. So I think you lean into it, you play your best offensive guys, and you just try to outrun the Nuggets on both ends, get more transition opportunities, and just try to outscore them. Because I don't think there's going to be very little defense played the rest of the series. But I also think you're right. I think Denver has the best player on the floor who is unstoppable in this matchup. And I think their recipe for success is more sustainable. You know, I can see KD or Book having an off night. Maybe not Book at this point. I think you tweeted this out during the last game. I don't know if Devin Booker will ever miss a shot again. Maybe he just never does. And that could put him away. But I do think the Nuggets formula is more sustainable, and that's how I predict games. So, yeah, I think it's Nuggets in – I was pretty confident, man. For a while in this series, I was thinking Nuggets in 5. I'm still going to go – I think I'm probably going to go Nuggets in 7. I think the Suns probably find a way to push this thing.